Hello, everybody. You have encountered another episode of From Adversity to Awakening, transforming hardships into greater spiritual connection and joy. I'm your host, Peggy O'Neill, and today I'm here with an extra special guest, Cynthia James, who I only met recently, but I have been smitten. And I just love her and her what she has to say. She's a singer. She's an amazing person. I'm going to read her bio in a minute. But anyway, welcome, Cynthia. I'm so glad that you're here.
Peggy, so happy to join you.
Yeah, thanks. So I'll tell you a little bit about her. She is a transformational specialist and one of today's brightest and best loved inspirational leaders and teachers, guiding thousands of people to make changes at a deep level for lasting healing in their lives. Beautiful claim. We all wish we were doing that work, right? Whether coaching, speaking, or teaching, or singing, Cynthia invites participants into inquiry, introspection, and integration. Her newest program, Advanced Awareness Coaching, offers depth, focus, and results for high-level business creatives. She has not one master's degree, but two, and she combines, I love this about her work, she combines the creative arts with innovative therapeutic techniques to bring powerful personal growth and expansion to individuals of all ages, cultures, and lifestyles. She's also authored, I think, 3 books. Is that right?
5.
5. Okay. Well, whose reading was old. Okay. So Cynthia has had her taste of adversity, and she has transformed and transcended her childhood of violence and PTSD. She's going to talk to us a little bit about that today. She is personally committed to utilizing creative expression as a vital and effective healing modality. Her message, music, and meditation products have supported individuals and groups around the world. Okay, get ready for the star-studdedness. She's appeared in movies, 2 movies, Sacred Journey of the Heart and Leap. She facilitates workshops and seminars all over the world. She's taken people to really cool places like Peru, uh, Chartres, France, and meditation in the temples of humankind in, I don't even know how to say this,
Endowment her.
Damanhur.
Hmm.
Italy, Mary Magdalene experiences, yada yada. It goes on and on. And she's a co-chair of the Women's Leadership Conference in Uganda, Africa. Join Cynthia. Yes, please join her. Take advantage of her incredible gathering and culturing of her incredible wisdom and light. She has an online community and in person, and you will definitely be inspired by her. So here we are, Cynthia. All of your amazing accolades. Wow.
Oh,
So,
thank you, Peggy. Thank
yeah.
you so much.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about your journey with adversity. Where did you encounter that? Where and when did you encounter
Mhm.
the greatest challenges, do you
You
think?
know, I consider myself to be a miraculous unfolding
Mm,
based on where I came from.
mm,
The odds of me being who I am today were pretty slim. I was with a single mother. We were on welfare. My biological father was an alcoholic. My stepfather was a wife beater and a pedophile, and come from 5 generations of women who were abused and traumatized
mm,
and
mm.
left the planet overweight, ill, depressed. And I I just gotta say that I think the only thing that shifted for me was grace.
Mhm.
That I came here on this planet
Mhm.
to live a different life than I had been put into.
Oh, that's why I knew you were going to be perfect for the show, because this is exactly what this journey from adversity to awakening is about. It's like recognizing that there is grace and that some people can escape and some people can transform and some people can completely shift what's happened to those who've come before. I love what you're saying. Please continue.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's really interesting because my family was very religious, African Methodist Episcopal,
Hmm.
and and the women in my family were kind of like prophetic dreamers. I mean, they really dreamed the future, but they didn't connect it to their universal spiritual connection. It was
Hmm.
all a part of the religion. And I had those gifts, but I'm just going to say there was a seeker in me that
Hmm.
kept thinking this is not my life. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but this is not how I'm supposed to live and follow the trajectory of my family. So today
So
I
that I
call
just I just want to stop you. That's a great prophetic dream in itself to
mm,
recognize that you had happiness as your birthright and
right,
that you didn't have to do what was being laid out for you. I
absolutely.
mean, that's amazing.
But
Yeah.
I got in trouble a lot because
Mhm.
I questioned
Mhm.
the status quo and the traditions, and
Mhm.
I'm like, well, if God is love, how come he's so mad at us? How
Mhm.
come, we're born into this original sin? I mean, so what I know today is I've always been a seeker. I came on the planet as a seeker.
Yes.
But when you only see generations of women who are in abusive relationships, alcoholism and drugs is an issue. Um, you don't really know how much you're being impacted.
Right.
So the early part of my life, I mean, I did well in school because I have a really good memory and I did well on tests and all of that other stuff.
Mhm.
But when it came to going out into the world, I didn't make the best choices because I didn't know what they were. I
I'm giggling because I can relate to what you're
oh,
saying.
okay.
School was also easy for me, and I made a lot of bad choices.
Yeah. Well, and it's really my latest book is called "Does My Voice Matter?" and it's kind of memoir-esque because it talks about what was happening in the decades of my life culturally and the
Yeah.
impact that it was having.
Yes.
And as I was writing it, I could see how low self-esteem, um, self-doubt, and limited self-love, I went into all these circuitous places. And I'm just going to say grace saved me because when I look back on my life, it's like, how did I get out of some of that stuff? Because I was following the path of my family. And
Yeah, but
I,
you were also a seeker. You also knew there was something more, and you also asked different questions.
yes, and the universe sent me angels. I want to tell you, anybody who's listening, if you pay attention, the universe is always sending you angels. So there's sometimes they're in person, sometimes they're on email, but they come in and they go, would you like to go over here?
Mhm.
Do you want to do this instead? And luckily, I was aware enough
Uh-huh.
to follow those angels, but it
Beautiful.
wasn't without me, you know, trying to do things where I could be accepted and validated. But I quickly learned alcohol was not for me. I couldn't handle it. Drugs were not for me. I totally couldn't handle it. And so my path of discovery
Hmm.
became relationships.
Yes.
And I kept picking kind of the same person in a different body to learn the same lesson that where I wasn't treated well and there wasn't respect and all of that kinds of stuff until I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm the common thread here.
Yes.
I got to
Very
do
good.
something different."
Yes, it's very interesting. And several people I've interviewed, not for this podcast, but I did a summit last year, said when I became aware that I was the source of the problem, that's when the angels appeared. That's when things started to change. And that's when my life started to really turn around.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I had to decide to heal.
Yeah.
So I went into therapy. I was doing workshops. I was seeing transformational speakers and reading books because I realized there was a whole lot I didn't know.
Hmm. Yeah, it's true. There's a lot we don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
so then how did that begin to start to change so you could go through transformation and um I'm assuming at some point, well, because the angels are in the story, that you're having a greater spiritual connection or connection to your deeper self or something like
mhm.
that.
Yes. So your listeners may or may not know Michael Beckwith,
Mm,
but Michael Beckwith was at the time not a minister.
I
He
see.
was a spiritual counselor, and he was having these small gatherings at his home, and he happened to live down the street from me.
Oh,
And I
How-
ran into him one day as he was walking down the street. That's what I'm talking about, angels.
right?
I mean,
Very fortuitous.
yes. And so he said, I do these kind of classes. And so I went, and um, he was then going into ministerial school.
Mhm.
And so I met this group of people, which I actually believe we were a soul group. And we agreed to come together at that
Nice.
time
Hmm.
because we were all growing, we were all healing, and we were all doing these he was calling them silent sadhanas, where we'd meditate and do all of these things. And that became the birthing of what is now Agape, his international spiritual center. And so,
His legacy.
yes, his legacy. And
Yes.
so I went to classes there, and I became a practitioner, and I went through classes, and I became a minister. And
Wow.
and while I was
That's great.
doing all of that,
Uh-huh.
I was in therapy too, because I really wanted to understand the psychology behind my belief systems and my
Yes.
choices.
Hmm. Great. And how did understanding your psychology, this is a really great thing. So it wasn't just meditation. And
Mm-mm.
I was a seeker through my life, and my first 10 years was in the transcendental meditation movement. And then I found out I needed more help, with transcending wasn't enough. And then when I got involved with the diamond approach and I started looking at my psychology and all of that, then things actually started to shift in a real way for me. And so how was it for you when you started to recognize the psychology of what was keeping, the wheel of suffering just spinning and going around and round?
Yeah, well, I had a great therapist,
Mm-hmm.
and who did some extraordinary work with me, because I was unaware of the level of abuse that I had gone into, because
Mm.
disassociation is
Sure,
real,
sure,
and we
sure.
shut down things, and because it was a safe space, I was able to just open and start remembering these
Mm-hmm.
things. And
Mm-hmm.
when
Mm-hmm.
I went to talk to my mother about them, she started crying, and she said, "You were so young, I didn't think you'd remember."
Mm.
And so I just started um, delving into the stuff with my therapist. But then I also went to the University of Santa Monica, which is spiritual psychology.
Right,
Psychology. So,
right.
so I knew that healing took place at the spiritual level,
Yes.
but you have to deal with mind body stuff that's in the way sometimes. And so it was a tremendous I think it was one of the greatest gifts I gave myself, going through that program, because when you go through that program, you're not dealing with other people's issues, you're dealing with your own.
Right. Very good. So yeah, so how did your life change when you started to have this healing, psychological understandings, the
Mhm.
spiritual transformation? How did your life change?
Well, first of all, I I started realizing that I was, I'm just going to use the word smart, because
Mm-hmm.
I had underestimated my abilities
Mm-hmm.
because of the way I grew up.
Yes.
So I started making a living as an actress. I was on Days of Our Lives, and I was on television and movies, and I mean, I started seeing that my creative self, and I was singing, and I opened for Rich Little and Jay Leno. All of a sudden, all these portals started opening where I could use my creative expression
Yes.
and get rid of the myth that you have to work hard at jobs you don't like and to survive.
Yay! I mean, that's some serious freedom there.
Yeah,
And
completely shifted it.
and not just that you survive and you don't have to do a job that you don't like to survive it. You actually can have a job you love that is using your superpowers, using the gifts that God gave you, and then you turn out that you're thriving really, not just
Yes.
surviving, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
And beginning to trust more and more that the universe has you, that spirit has you,
that's
and
right.
and
That's
that
right.
is guiding your choice. Whatever choices you make, it supports those choices.
Yes, it's an interesting process when you go from this is happening to me to this is happening for me. I've been
Right.
through that transformation myself. And when you start to see all the good things and you focused on the good things instead of the bad things or the difficult things that create suffering, limitation, frustration, all that, then that I think for me, that's when the portals arrive. That's when the angels arrive, when you start to shift, looking and noticing, oh, life loves me, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So how was it for you when you started recognizing when you had all these opportunities and you're on TV and you're singing for Jay Leno and all these guys and like what was it like?
Well, it was great. Um, it was a true testimony to accepting being visible. Because, when you've been abused and traumatized as a kid, you want to go the opposite direction. You
Sure.
want to be invisible. But it was like, um, mm, can you accept visibility with grace? And so uh, I married a successful actor who was quite visible, so that kind of amped it up.
Yeah.
And so but what happened is that he had a drug issue,
Mm,
and so that was my recognition that, oh, I
mm.
hadn't healed that part
Here we
with
go again.
with
Mhm,
the addicts, right? And so it was like, okay, I just got to go a little deeper here.
mhm, mhm.
And when I did that, we got divorced and I was taking care of my kids, and um a person walked into my life that we've been together 29 years now. We've been married for 20. And
Happy dance.
huh?
Happy dance.
Yes. But what I realized is he was the manifestation of the shift of my consciousness.
Very good. Beautiful. Lovely, lovely. And how did you experience some shift in terms of like the world of surviving and doing the job you didn't like and hardship, I was going to call
Mhm,
it,
mhm,
into making this transformation into doing work that you love, that use your gifts, where you were in the limelight. And I'm going to ask you about
mhm,
your book about the voice in a moment, but um how did you experience sort of how would you articulate around how that shift was either brought about or supported by your spiritual connection? And and yeah,
well, you know what? I want to say to anybody listening, I learned that sometimes these dark nights of the soul are actually portals of opening to light and transformation.
aren't
And
they?
if you see it that
Mm,
way,
yeah.
then you start to understand you've been given an extraordinary opportunity.
Right.
So what happened is all the doors in my creative world started shutting.
Mm,
And I was like, whoa, okay. I still
mm,
have my children to take care of. And so I got a corporate job, which literally trained me in so many areas that I use today.
mhm, mhm.
Um, I didn't know that was coming,
Right.
but so what it did was that job coupled with the University of Santa Monica started telling me, well, what if the universe is calling me into another place?
Mhm,
What if I'm being asked to be more,
mm.
to do more? And so I just started meditating and journaling about it, and I kept hearing that I was going to be on stages, but it wasn't like singing this. I was going to be on stages and I was going to be teaching. And so I started doing workshops and things, and all of a sudden, these little bit by little bit, because it didn't start with, I mean, I'm given this big vision, but
Yes.
my first workshop had 6 people. So,
I can relate to that. Yeah.
so it was, yeah, I'm like, okay, is this the vision, God? Okay. But what happened is I started learning that little steps become little mountains, and
Yeah.
things grow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
and then because I was on that path and that trajectory, different people and invitations and things started to come in
Right.
that were giving me chances to use my gifts, but at the same time teaching me.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So it was like a lot of serendipity started happening and a lot of enhancement of your life experience. It sounds like the quality of your life becoming more rich. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the book around people using their voice and being heard. I have a talk and I have a little giveaway called and I'll make it available under this whatever link or whatever, however that works, called six six steps to being heard above a room full of men. And
Ah,
it's about having the confidence to let yourself be heard, especially when you're in the face of people who may not really be interested in what you have to say. So tell
yeah.
us a little bit about your book, because I think that that's an amazing attribute of this kind of awakening is finding your voice and using it to bring your gifts into the world, to bring your light, to bring more light, to transform lives of other people.
Oh, thank you. Well, the book is called Does My Voice Matter? A journey of self-discovery, authenticity, and empowerment. I mean,
Let's
I don't
see.
even know.
Let's see. Let's see. There it is. Oh, what a beautiful lady on there.
Thank you. And what it was what I started noticing with my clients and in some of the work that I was doing, that people had a modicum of success, but they felt that there was more, but they were afraid to express themselves, afraid to be hurt or punished or whatever the thinking was.
Yeah.
And I realized that
Ostracized.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And especially in all the division and stuff that's going on the planet, it's exacerbated. But what I
Very.
realized is that my whole life had been a journey to find out, do I matter? Do my
Mm.
thoughts matter? Do my feelings
Mm.
matter? Does my voice
Mm.
matter? And the
Mm.
voice for me is how we express. So it doesn't just come out of the sound of my throat. It could be as an artist, as an author, as a writer, as a teacher, as a mother. I mean, but the
Yeah.
full expression of that and learning that what you feel and what you have to say is important. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on the planet.
Very good. This is a
So
really
I,
important message for people and especially for women and
mm,
especially for women of abuse, women of families of alcoholism, people who even the Asian culture, they're very, taught to be
hmm
very demure. So such a beautiful message.
well,
So
thank you.
yeah, and how do their lives change? I mean, how do you see that when they start to use their voice? How is it that their lives usually change? And maybe you could tell us about your experience. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think when you find your voice, you 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 become more fearless and fierce in your way of being.
That's a
You
lovely way. Yeah,
you don't want to run, you don't want to hide. You want to have people meet your authenticity.
beautiful.
And it also teaches you that you get to set boundaries. You get to have respect.
Yeah.
And but it starts here. It starts,
Exactly.
can you love and honor and respect yourself?
Yeah, and I love that phrase. We train people how to treat us.
Absolutely, 100%. And so in the book, what I do is, in the decades of my life that I've been on the planet, every decade there was stuff happening and it was impacting me and my choices. So every chapter starts with what was happening in that decade, what was happening in my life. And then at the end, it's like, here are some practices that you can use if this is an issue for you.
Beautiful. Would you like to share with us any of those?
Yeah, it's one is, if you have a calling, then there's a delivery system for it. You don't have to hide it. You don't have to try to figure it out even. You don't even have to know how the calling is going to manifest, but you can begin to nurture it and care for it and honor it. And then the universe will come in and lift it.
Very good. I found that's true for sure. Beautiful. So this has been so amazing conversation. I love having, ability to talk to you and glean all this wisdom. Would you like to sing us a song?
Oh, sing you a song? Really?
Yeah, why not? I mean, come on, that's part of your gifts.
Okay, I'll do a little one.
Okay.
You are so beautiful to me. You are so beautiful to me. Can't you see you're everything I hope for, and you're everything I need. You are so beautiful to me.
I'm so glad I asked you to do that because, it's definitely a superpower. And what a beautiful way to have people, the message of that song, the beauty of the music in it, the way that you express it is so lovely. And that I think is so much of what this journey of awakening is about, is recognizing this is the song you're maybe not singing to someone else, but to yourself.
Absolutely.
And the more that we can recognize our own beauty and how we can show up for ourselves, the more our life is fruitful and enjoyable and amazing and memorable and all those good things. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I don't know, do you have a gift? Do you want to talk about a gift? Do you want to give some tips? Do you want to say something at the end?
I guess I want to just say to everybody, I mean, I will give you a gift and I will give you a link that you can share with people.
Great.
But I guess what I want to tell people is, please know that you are you're a masterpiece in the making. You're here for a reason, that you've got gifts that nobody else can deliver the way you deliver them. And so you get to bring your unique abilities and gifts and connect with places and people that can lift you up. That can lift you up. The gift that I'm going to give is
Thank you. That was
you
so amazing. It's like the essence of the inspirational message of transformation. Thank you for bringing that forward, Cynthia.
Oh,
Very
thank you.
beautiful.
So what I want to give is actually some meditations to help people go to their center. I created a meditation CD called Passages, and I found out that my clients have challenges: health, relationships, money, and purpose. So I'll send a link and people can just listen to and download the meditations. And I hope it supports. Meditation has been a tremendous gift for me.
Me too. I will have to say that's true for me. And your gift will be on your speaker page in the A to A, Adversity to Awakening, page. If the listeners wants to go to A dot the letter A, the number 2 a.peggyspeaks.com, and you'll see Cynthia's picture there. You can click it. You'll go to a page where you can get all of her goodies and also see a summary and some main points about what we talked about today. All right,
Perfect.
well, that is amazing. Thank you for the gift. I can't wait to try those meditations myself. I think they're going to be amazing. I think there's been an incredible, deep and profound inspiration. Your ability to speak, articulate, and inspire is tremendous. Thank you so
Oh,
much for taking the time to share your gifts with us today, Cynthia.
thank you. Happy to be with you, Peggy.
All right. Well, everybody, stay tuned for the next episode of From Adversity to Awakening. And I will see you there. We'll see who the next amazing guest is. And yeah, tune in and everybody just glean all this wisdom, take it into your heart, and live life to the fullest. So long for now.